Is fear motivating your financial planning? Let faith rewrite the math.
Moving forward with the Decker team. Moving forward together with the Decker team.
We are delighted and, in fact, in awesome times that we've been able to create for you free access to over 703 Life's Inside Track episodes, where we share insider tips, making house home, building wealth wisely through real estate, and you can get access to them from pretty much anywhere you would like, anyhow you would like, video or audio. Pretty incredible when you ask me.
Yeah, and faith or fear shapes decisions, right? And we have some scriptures that we wanted, and the Lord just put on my mind the promised land and the spies going into the promised land, and they came back full of fear. God had for them a wonderful territory, wonderful rich lands for their herds, to bless them, to bless his people. And they got afraid when they saw the size of the obstacles in front of them. Right?
In finances, because we are real estate based and a financial show, those obstacles and fears can look bigger than God's math.
Yeah.
Than having faith in what he says to do.
Yeah, it can look like a giant step.
Like when we started giving, when we had no money, when we were upside down, that was scary.
Yeah.
And then recently we've had a client who it took some time, but initially she was full of fear around pulling equity out of her house.
She had desire for it.
For a decade.
And also didn't have faith in who she knew, which was interesting. And she wanted the right guide. And after spending about a year with us,
not living in our house, but just mentoring
walking and seeing
together.
What we do. Yeah. And she decided, okay, I'm ready. And she'd put all the pieces that I had recommended in place, met with the bank, did the renos on her house, got it prepared, did the different things. And now what's happened is she was able to pull equity from her home for the down payment on a property. So 100% financed.
So when Ken says 100% financed, I just want to, it's not that the house she bought on its own could qualify for 100% financing, because most investment properties are going to need 20% or greater if you're not living in it, which is another conversation altogether. And yet between her principal residence and the mortgage or the home equity loan that was registered against that house and the money that she borrowed against the new house, there was none of her own money. Personal cash into the house. And so sometimes people will say, well, that sounds risky. Not if it's done right. There was still there was over still 20% equity in both houses, technically.
Come on, yeah. And she's positive cash flow. So she's getting money in her bank account every month. The mortgage on the other property is going down. And over time, it will go up in value. So what a beautiful investment. And it's interesting, like if you look at Proverbs 3, 5 to 6.
Yeah, not to lean on our own understanding, but in all our ways acknowledge God, and he will make our paths straight. And that's what it took. It's what it took for us when we started. And it's what's taken for client after client after client. The other one is one of my all-time favorites, 2 Timothy 1:7. Do not be consumed by fear. Like God didn't give us a spirit of fear or timidity. He gave us a spirit of power, of love, and of sound mind. So it's not reckless decision-making, it's sound decision-making.
Yeah, and the sound mind is also self-discipline, which means not overspending, not taking too much risk, but taking what is appropriate for the situation.
And what's appropriate for you may not be appropriate for me or vice versa. So that's where a clarity call can really come in, because we're sharing general stories, and for each person, it's going to look different. Everybody's propensity for even wise debt, smart debt is different than somebody else's.
Yeah, and it's interesting, we talk about Luke 6:38, where it says, "Give and it will be given to you, a good measure, pressed down, shaken together, and running overflow," right? And that's a difficult one, because we don't want to talk about prosperity gospel, right? Like become a believer and you're going to have riches. Not maybe in this world anyways. And one of the things I remember is we were doing a building project for our church, right? And there were two levels of giving. There was the giving where it was normal. There was your tithing, and then there was giving that you gave out of your surplus. And then there was sacrificial giving, where you're giving from money that really you had earmarked for something else. It's sacrificial. And I heard story after story after story of people that said, we committed to money, we didn't know where it was going to come from. We knew that it was going to dip into like our food budget and this and our gas budget, our maintenance budget. And then God provided replacement for it, and more than a replacement for it. So stories of that level of faith were so rich and warming. And now I'm not saying I always have that level of faith, and maybe you don't either. And sometimes I pray that God would give me a level of faith that, if my faith is lacking.
I love that story. One I'd forgotten about, and how poignant it is. So really what we want to just leave you with in this segment is, are you being driven by a sense of fear, overwhelming dread for what might happen, versus faith that moves you forward, maybe slowly, maybe quickly, but faith that actually means you have to rely on not just your effort, not just your energy, not just your good looks, not just your good decisions, but where you're relying on God's faith with wisdom. Again, like Ken said, not reckless.
Yeah, Pew Research data said that people of active faith are more likely to report greater hope and resilience during financial issues, relational issues, work issues, whatever it is. Because you know what the truth is? Faith multiplies peace. Peace. So choosing prayer before panic, wisdom before worry, these are all great things to instill in our lives. And again, we're glad that you're joining us on Life's Inside Track, because as your options become clear, your wisdom will flow.
Moving forward with the Decker Team. Moving forward together with the Decker Team.